Norovirus, often called the stomach flu, spreads quickly, especially in close quarters like schools. That's why they decided to close it down today. To help us understand more about what's happening here and how serious this is and what families should be looking out for, we are joined this afternoon by Dr. Nazima Zakhidova. Thank you so much for being here with us, Dr. Zakhidova. I think a lot of people have heard norovirus. A lot of parents certainly have been hearing about it lately, especially in that school district. Can you kind of walk us through exactly what it is and why it tends to spread so quickly in places like schools especially?
Yes, thank you so much. So norovirus, as you said, called stomach bug, it's super contagious, and I think that's why this outbreak is happening. It's a virus that is spread through fecal-oral route. So basically, we need to make sure we're washing our hands really well. It can stay on surfaces, and it can be in contaminated foods. And so in places like schools where there's so many kids and they're touching everything, it can spread really quickly. And so the symptoms start within 12 to 48 hours, and it's pretty sudden. You can have vomiting, diarrhea, stomach cramps, sometimes fevers, and they can last 1 to 3 days and sometimes up to 5 days. And the part that makes it even more contagious is that it can still spread up to 3-4 days after the symptoms have stopped. And so if we go back to school too early, we can still continue to spread the virus.
So that's why they went ahead and intervened today, just out of caution, and shut down school. We always hear about hand washing. I mean, it helps with so many things. Some might think that hand sanitizer would be enough to kill germs, all of the germs there, but maybe not necessarily the case.
No, for some viruses, yes, but for norovirus specifically, hand sanitizer does not work. It is not effective in killing the virus. Washing hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds is the way to get rid of the virus, because it mechanically breaks down and gets rid of the virus. While hand sanitizer is okay, we really need to make sure we're washing with soap and water.
Sorry to interrupt there. We had a little bit of a weird delay, I think. Can you explain a little bit more about the 48-hour rule with norovirus, and that's part of what I guess makes it such a difficult thing to overcome?
I don't know if you're referring to 48 hours back to school?
Yeah, like once, somebody has no longer shown as being contagious and so forth, it can still linger for some time, get it there, I guess.
Yes, so it can still shed. So the virus sheds from the body, mainly from basically wherever we go to the bathroom, but it can still shed, and so it can still spread. And we want to wait at least 48 hours before we go back to school so we can minimize the spread and the other kids catching the virus.
And thankfully, we've got this weekend sandwiched in here so that we can, tick off some of that time there. Last thing I have for you here, what other red flags would you, tell parents that they should be on the lookout for?
So the big thing with any kind of stomach bug is dehydration. So if a child is vomiting and having so much diarrhea that they can't hold down fluids and keep hydrated, it can really cause a lot of problems. And so, that's the big thing, is if your child is starting to look very lethargic, they're not peeing as much, they're really not holding down any fluids, that would be a reason to go to your doctor or even the ER.
Okay, hopefully they can knock this thing out, and we won't see any more issues with this in the school there. Dr. Zakhidova, thanks so much for taking the time and walking us through this afternoon. Really appreciate it.